The Pocomoke River is 73 miles long, runs through 4 counties and 3 states before draining into the Chesapeake Bay. But for more than 75 years, parts of the river have been trapped until now. Crews are working along a 9-mile stretch of the river from Whiten Crossing to Route 50, working on part of the largest restoration project in Maryland's history.
We cut the elevation across the spoil levee so that it matches the elevation of the floodplain. So during those rain events, this is when it gets the opportunity to come in, filtrate through this reaching into the floodplain, and then eventually it'll recede back out once the storm flows decrease. When we take the spoil levee out, we're bringing the elevation of the floodplain completely across where the old spoil was to the bank. And so by doing that, we're decreasing the elevation and allowing the floodwaters to flow in more frequently during a storm event because of that.
Which begs the question, how did these levees get here to block off the floodplain?
When the Pocomoke River was channelized back in the 30s, it created these spoil piles on both sides of the river.
The goal behind all of that was really aimed at making the landscape more productive, really shifting from forest and wooded wetlands to agricultural production, and in some cases timber production.
During that channelization, as you can see, the dike behind me was created as spoil from the actual channel when they came through and dredged out the river.
In the late 1930s and early 40s, the river was dredged and channelized to eliminate the flooding of farmland. But what wasn't understood at the time was the important role of the river's natural flooding cycle.
Your floodplains are your storage area for floodwaters as well as filters for those floodwaters. And so not having access to the floodplains, that water moves down through the landscape a lot quicker, delivering excess nutrients, sediment, nitrogen, phosphorus, down the waterway directly into the bay.
Instead of those loads going down into the Chesapeake Bay, they're going into these floodplains that we've opened up and letting out that water sit there and letting those nutrients sit in there and filtrate before they're going back out to our waters.
So now in certain locations along that 9-mile section of the Pocomoke River, 100-foot breaches will be carved out of the 75-year-old levees to reconnect the river to its floodplain swamp.
Because of this project, there's going to be a lot of nutrient reduction to go into the floodplains. There's over 1 million gallons of water that's filtrated into these floodplains via the breaches that we've constructed.
By improving water quality in a large river like the Pocomoke River, it's bound to have water quality benefits in the bay, help get the water quality back to where it can support SAV, submerged aquatic vegetation, which is a huge food source for migratory waterfowl in the Chesapeake. So.
Less nutrient sediments entering the bay means cleaner water. We're going to have smaller algal blooms. We're going to have better fish populations. We're going to have better crabs, oysters.
If those aren't enough benefits resulting from this project, there are more that will take advantage of the waters in the floodplain.
Because anytime you're talking about restoring 3,000 plus acres of wetlands in a state like Maryland, there's bound to be big implications for waterfowl, right? When you reconnect the floodplain like this, you're creating tons of forested wetland habitat that benefits, in particular, things like wood ducks, black ducks, a few other waterfowl species.
So that floodplain historically had a lot of bald cypress in it. And when you look at why that cypress has disappeared, a lot of it was timbered out, but it didn't really come back.
We want to be able to enjoy the bounties of our bay, and the clean water that these floodplains are helping that, so that we continue to enjoy the fishing, the crabbing, and all that things we like to do here on Leisure Shore, Maryland.
Thanks to the breaches that have been constructed so far, over 1 million gallons of water will be filtered through the restored floodplains of the Pocomoke River. And once work is completed on the largest restoration project in the history of Maryland, the job will be handed back to Mother Nature to do what she does best.